English translation 424th contact. Saturday, 17th June 2006, 17:03 hours.
There you are. Be greeted, dear friend. What is so important, which you want to tell me, as you had said to me during the proofreading?
Be greeted as well. The important thing is that, according to our precise investigations, it has now unfortunately actually turned out that our suspicions, which I entrusted to you on the 16th of April, have been fully confirmed.
You mean regarding the bird epidemic?
Yes, I am talking about that. Our further analyses have confirmed our initial results from the 4th of April. The bird disease virus H5N1 is slightly mutated so that it has been transmissible from person to person for about 4 months. However, it does not yet pose a major threat to humans in this context, as only a further and more dangerous mutation could lead to a catastrophe.
So it is, but unfortunately not to be changed.
Yes, unfortunately. But let us move on to other things. Our telepathic contact this afternoon found an interesting extension when you asked Bernadette to read her article on the problem of determination. As you have explained to me, there are always misunderstandings about this.
That is true, because the Earth humans understand a determination to be something that has to do solely with laws, orders, ordinances, etc., that must be obeyed. For them, therefore, a determination is an order, a regulation, or a legal disposition, etc., whereby a last will and testamentary determination is also included, as is the intended purpose of an object. The so-called higher and divine destiny and calling also fall under this, as does the destiny of being destined as a human being or for something, such as a craftsman or artist, etc. That all these forms of destiny determination have something to do with compulsion and the like, however, is hardly or not at all thought about by humans. Nor is the fact thought about that he or she creates his own destinies, which they create for themselves without compulsion, and which they can or cannot fulfill according to the given possibilities, conditions and circumstances, etc., seen in the sense of the spiritual teaching, aka creation energy teaching. Such personal regulations are structured in such a wise that they can be fulfilled or not, depending on whether the necessary prerequisites, conditions, principles, foundations, and other conditions are given or not. Thus, such personal determinations are not connected with orders, laws, regulations, force and coercion, etc., but solely and exclusively with the free will of the human being, and with all those prerequisites that must be given for the fulfillment of the determination.
Bernadette has described this well. Now let me read her comments that you have in front of you.
Naturally, please.
Thank you.
Reads the article.
The whole thing is a bit extended and also good and understandable. Add it to our conversation. It is also suitable as an article in the WZ.
Everything happens as you wish. But tell me, have your scribes figured out anything about words or phrases, what they really mean?
The scholars in relation to the German language explain that a term Wörter is fundamentally wrong, because since time immemorial there has been only the Wort. Wörter is a serious disfigurement of the actual term, which in its origin means solemnly speaking, which cannot be extended in the form mentioned. The only permissible extension of the word can therefore only be Worte. From this the forms das Wort, die Worte, den Worten, des Wortes, and der Worte are derived. Accordingly, there is also no Wörterbuch, but only a Wörterbuch. The Wort, respectively die Worte, converted into Wörter, thus means a blatant falsification of the word value in the German language.
This is interesting. Please thank your scribes on my behalf for the instruction. Can I ask you one more question about WM?
Naturally.
Do you perhaps know why he chose the U.S. state of Oklahoma to build a Figu center there?
Oklahoma is a state with strong religious and sectarian influences, and it is precisely this that he was attracted to.
Aha! Then another question regarding the entry of extraterrestrial flying apparatuses into terrestrial space, which you once estimated to be about 3,000 a year. Must we assume that these flying apparatuses were only those of your Federation and yourselves? You have never gone into this matter to give an explanation. And what about Kenneth Arnold, who claims to have seen several UFOs during a flight in his private plane in the 1940s? And what about Betty and Barney Hill, who are said to have been abducted by aliens, as well as many others who, under hypnosis, talked about contacts and abductions and medical examinations, etc., by the abductors? And what about the Giza twerps, the Syrian men in black and their comrades in the Brazilian group?
No, that is not the way it is. In the last 200 years, there were also a few others apart from us, and various other Earth foreigners from our Federation who flew into Earth's space. On the whole, however, the 3,000 flights taking place per year are traceable to us and to our Federation, as well as to Asket, and in a few cases to beings foreign to Earth who later on joined our Federation. The number of flights has decreased drastically to a number of 12 per year since then, and these flights relate to our work with you and our visits. Except one. All the beings foreign to Earth who flew into Earth's space have joined our Federation after we contacted them, as I have already said. As to the Giza intelligences and the Syrian men in black, that is another matter which leads back many thousands of years. Whereas the Brazilian group consisted of former Nazis who were able to take over an object of the Giza intelligences, which we also were able to find out. This group does not exist anymore today, and the Giza intelligences were sent into exile and are becoming extinct. In addition, the Syrian men in black were rounded up and taken into custody through forces of their home world after their last evil attacks against you. They also do not pose a threat anymore. In respect to Kenneth Arnold, we have found out through our 3-year investigations that he did not observe any extraterrestrial flying objects, but secret U.S. test flights of one-winged aircraft. This is also true for various other cases of that time, which, however, was not only limited to the USA, but also took place in other countries that tested futuristic aircraft, which still happens today. Some others, such as Dan Fry and Schmidt, etc., were put into pseudo-realities with visionary experiences by the Giza intelligences through means of teleprojection, which they deemed to be reality. Many others, however, were and still are only liars and deceivers with alleged contacts that never took place or are not taking place. What has to be said in respect to the married couple Hill and all other persons who were allegedly abducted or even medically harmed, or who supposedly had implants implanted, and who under hypnosis exposed these occurrences is that these occurrences have never happened and are nothing but illusions, imagination, delusions, and deliberate lies, as well as also schizophrenic illusionary products and disturbances of consciousness brought forth through the interference of electromagnetic fields of the Earth, through which unrealities, unreal happenings, as well as unreal memories and unreal experiences are caused, but also unreal pain, fear, and unreal perceptions, and so forth. The disrupted electromagnetic fields of the Earth have been the cause of the untrue memories of the Hills. All these factors will become or could be knowingly or unknowingly manipulated, which means that the hypnotized describe their unreal happenings and unrealities, etc., as reality, or that liars and deceivers are able to maintain their deliberate lies and deceit under hypnosis. Hypnosis, namely, is in no means capable of finding out the truth in such or other cases. All of the things which we previously assumed to be true through such circumstances, such as contacts between Earth humans and Earth foreigners, as well as abductions by Earth foreigners, have proved to be false up to the early times of the last and penultimate centuries through the possibility of our newest technology with regard to the clarification of such occurrences. As we did not master this extremely valuable technology in former times, we unfortunately have been led astray in regard to all these matters. Because of this, and also of the lies and deception of many of Earth's human beings in regard to the aforementioned, we have unfortunately let ourselves be deceived in respect to alleged contacts between human beings of Earth and beings foreign to Earth, but also in regard to alleged abductions and examination contacts, etc. Real contacts were made only through impulse contacts, through a telepathic transmission device with which we usually contacted various and higher educated Earth humans to provide information. However, these persons did not know that we were contacting them in this manner. Neither did the many scientists, for example Einstein and other notable Earth humans, to whom we likewise provided information, which led to progress in technology and medicine, etc. Then there were the teachers in India who taught you. They had in part physical and in part conscious telepathic contacts with us, whereas at first my father Svath and thereafter Asket were the important persons for these contacts. In the last century, only one unintentional contact took place in South America, whereby the space travelers came from another space-time structure from the region of Alpha Centauri. The contacts between us and Earth humans are all known to you. And it must be added that all these contact persons have all died and kept silent about their contacts, if they were at all conscious of them, which was only so in rare cases. Usually we only kept up impulse telepathic contacts, and the persons on the receiving end did not have any knowledge of it. And what must also be said is that today, one-sided contacts like that are not carried out anymore. All investigations that we could carry out in the past 3 years were only made possible by our newest technology, which we had received from a people befriended with Asket. Only through this new technology, from the technologically highly developed sonar, was it possible for us to investigate in the most exact and detailed manner many years into the past, and to find the truth in all those things that we accepted as truth for about 100 years, although they were wrong and did not represent the truth. Through the possibility, still incomprehensible for us, that Earth humans are able to bathe in lies and presumptions which do not represent the truth, we have, as already mentioned, let ourselves be deceived and led astray. The possibility to say something different than it is in truth is the reason why we considered the alleged contact stories of various human beings of the Earth to be the truth, and designated people as contact persons who in reality had not been such.
Then all the so-called UFOs, which were observed in the last century, were spaceships from you, your Federation, and from those who joined your Federation after they had been contacted by you here on Earth? And what about Roswell? Do the beings foreign to Earth, which were bioorganic androids, belong to you as well?
Of course. Not all so-called UFOs were spaceships of beings foreign to the Earth, because the majority of all observations of such objects were and are still today based on earthly things. For example, on electromagnetic or atmospheric phenomena, but also based on other natural occurring happenings like swarms of insects or birds, dust formations, and so forth, or on meteors from space. Apart from this, however, there were and still are many objects of futuristic forms of secret military origin of the most diverse states. which were and are also still called UFOs, or extraterrestrial flying apparatuses, by Earth humans due to a lack of knowledge regarding their origin and construction. The sighting of UFOs is often also based on earthly flying machines such as airplanes and balloons of all types. What has to be said concerning Roswell is that we and our Federation and all beings foreign to Earth, and who were flying into Earth's space and then joined our Federation, did not have anything to do with this incident.
May one ask, how many peoples foreign to Earth, which flew into Earth's space, and which you contacted joined your Federation? And how many persons were involved in your investigation of 3 years? Were they only Florina and Jana and their friends and you?
During the entire last and second last century, the 20th and the 19th century respectively, there had been 5 visitors foreign to Earth, which joined our Federation. In another case, this was not possible because we were not able to contact them. In this new century and millennium, nothing has happened yet, which is not yet to be expected, because populated planets are very far from Earth, and not many find their way to Earth, although they are able to master space travel technology, which is the exception rather than the rule. There were 427 persons involved in the investigation that was of special interest to us.
Man, that is a large number of people. So, you have spent the last 3 years investigating contacts in regard to beings foreign to Earth and found that no contacts have taken place between beings foreign to Earth and human beings of Earth, except in the few cases that are known to me and pertain to you Plejaren and your Federation. Is your knowledge now complete? You once said that you would not be able to watch over the entire Earth, therefore, that under circumstances some flights and so forth could be missed by you.
That is right. For a long time, we were not able to watch altogether everything pertaining to flights of beings foreign to Earth. But now, through our newest technology, we could investigate the whole of the 19th and the 20th century, and the first years of the 21st century. The result of this investigation is that it is how I told you on my last visit on the 10th of June and how I have said it now. The fact is that since 1800 until now 2006, the flying objects observed from outer space solely belong to us Plejaren and the 5 others mentioned who joined our Federation and those we could not contact and have remained foreign to us. The thing about Roswell is another and special case because back then bioorganic androids were found. And one also has to say now that when flying machines as well as telemeter discs originating from outer space are seen, then these belong only to us Plejaren and our Federation. Contacts with Earthlings do not take place, and apart from the contact with you, no other contacts exist. That will only change when other beings foreign to Earth land openly and take up contacts, which will only happen then when we have left.
Indeed disappointing. Everything, therefore, is nonsense and idle talk. As to the claims made by many people that they have been having contacts with extraterrestrials, and would continue in such, and had and would have the opportunity to fly with them in spaceships, or claim that the possibility of channeling or telepathic contacts and so on was given.
This is absolutely true. Channeling is pure nonsense, and everyone claiming to be capable of telepathy is not capable of it. In fact, it is really as you say, for in one instance only, a true contact between a human being foreign to Earth and a human being of Earth is given, and that is between you and us. But these events, which otherwise occurred between human beings foreign to Earth and Earth's human beings, and are known to you, however, do not apply to any persons who are still alive and maintain to have had contacts with human beings foreign to Earth, or would still have these contacts. Yet my words are not intended for all those who were having impulse contacts through us during the last and second last century, but it has to be mentioned, however, that they had no conscious knowledge of these impulse contacts. The few exceptions in recent times, like Anatol and Petra and so on, as well as the unique occurrence in Brazil regarding the Alpha Centauri contact and the one in connection with Elsa Schroeder and my daughter Simyaya Say in Zahedan, Persia, and so on, are not mentioned and moreover are known to you.
This I know. But this very conversation now taking place between you and me will call many opponents to the fore, accusing us, especially me, of lying, because it could not be that only the contacts between you and me would be in accordance with the facts and truth, whereas everything else is lies, deception, imagination, and illusion as well as delusion and so on. The world of UFO believers, and UFO fanatics and those believing in extraterrestrials will scream and howl, and especially the self-appointed specialists and experts in matters of UFOs and extraterrestrials will also come forth and scream falsehood and deceit in the same manner as UFO opponents and other self-appointed experts and specialists in this line of thought who have always maintained that, as a whole, everything was only deception and fraud, delusion or chimera and so on. However, it will also be the UFO esoterics and the like-minded UFO sectarians who climb on the same accusatory bandwagon as well as all those stuck in fantasies who believe that extraterrestrials live among human beings and would be present at any meetings and assemblies of UFO believers, etc. This is also case with the nonsense of seances where the departed are supposed to be present or could be called to join. Completely crazy ones even claim that extraterrestrials participate in Earth governments and would direct and control the destiny of Earth and its humankind.
That it will be so is certain, because truth is not only disenchanting, however, also frightening, and it shatters the illusions, hopes, desires, imaginations, and delusions, and so on, of many believers in UFOs. However, those believing in UFOs and many others wish to be cheated and led into delusion and do not acknowledge the truth, just as those believing in religions and sectarians. They neither wish to see nor recognize nor acknowledge the truth because they are caught by their belief and their illusions, which they are holding high above all truth and reality. As a rule, to free themselves of this belief is impossible because it is equal to a hereditary disease, which needs a very long time to be healed and can only be overcome by rationality and understanding. It is likewise with opponents, because their rationality and understanding is also failed. However, in a different wise than that according to the believers in regard to imagined extraterrestrials and their spaceships, as well as so-called contacts and abductions and so on. However, also opponents fall into a belief as well as those who know everything better and those who negate, and this likewise does not let them recognize and acknowledge the truth. They are just as sick in believing as all the other believers.
Very well. Then, if unidentified flying objects were seen in Earth space, then they belong to you, your federation, or to your later federation, and in 2 cases to the foreigners that you could not contact, if I include Roswell. And as to contacts through extraterrestrials with Earth humans, then all but 1 case led back to your federation, and all of the contact persons have died, and none of the ones that have for years been saying that they were having contacts with you or with other extraterrestrials belong to them, and that they also call you Pleiadians. Because at the beginning we said as a precaution that you called yourselves Pleiadians, to then later uncover the lies of such persons. Then, when the lies had multiplied, and the world was full of such claims of persons who said they were having contacts with you, we came out into the open and revealed from where you really come from, and how you call yourselves in fact Pleiaren and not Pleiadians. All the liars have exposed themselves in this wise, even though they are still trying to save face by weaving more lies. At what stage is the general monitoring as to further flights of beings foreign to Earth?
Should further flights take place, although we do not expect any, we would of course inform you. And what has to be said and can only be said again and again, and has often been said, regarding contacts between Earth humans and foreigners to Earth, is that you are the only person in the whole world who is capable of having contacts with us Plearan and those belonging to our Federation. And also in this respect, no other contacts of any kind are taking place between other beings foreign to Earth and Earth's human beings. Because no other beings foreign to Earth exist, apart from us, who are active in Earth space. And no more in conjunction with us has to be said regarding the tissue of lies of the alleged contact persons, because the facts tell the whole story.
Yes, I know. You have spoken clearly and precisely. Now something else. Florina told me that you are again cloaking your ships for safety reasons, and that you only let yourselves be seen very rarely, if at all. May I ask you why? Another question regarding your Federation. You once said that it stretches over many dimensions or space-time structures, and over 50 million light-years. May I ask you, how many different dimensions your Federation consists of?
The reasons for the safety precautions are of a kind which I cannot openly name, but to you, only if you keep silent. If nonetheless our ships are sighted on different locations in Earth's space, and these are solely of extraterrestrial origin, then this has to do with special duties to be carried out, during which the cloaking has to be disabled. And it has to be said in regard to our Federation that it is spread out over 3 dimensions, and that our 2 dimensions, ours and yours, are included.
Then, I do not want to know anything in respect to safety precautions. And anyway, it is time for me, because...
Yes, time has advanced. Goodbye.
I almost forgot. Look at this thing. Can you analyze it for its ability to block out electromagnetic smog? Philia got it from someone in the United States. If I am not mistaken, it was Michael Horn.
For once, I will try to do something about it, because it is an honor for me to be able to do something for Philia.
Thank you. Then goodbye, dear friend.
I will bring it back at the first opportunity. Salomi Eduard.